This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Lawyer for school secretary accused of sex with students slams cops over viral video. Injustice of magnanimous proportions. Anyway, a married school secretary at an Indiana high school was reportedly caught by her husband having a sexual relationship with a student in mid-February, which led to the discovery that she allegedly had an unlawful sexual relationship with a second student. However, the suspect's lawyer is calling for action after video of her interrogation by police went viral, which he described as an injustice of magnanimous proportion. I'm stupid. As the Blaze News reported last month, 31-year-old Alicia Hughes was arrested following an investigation into allegations involving inappropriate conduct with a minor. The Union City Police Department announced in a statement, during the course of the investigation, officers learned that Hughes' husband had discovered her with an 18-year-old student at Randolph Eastern School Corporation and confronted the individuals. Now, see, the way this is written is if he went to the school and confronted them both. No. He came home and she was in bed with this 18-year-old. Yeah. Police said Hughes was allegedly battered during that altercation. The Randolph County Sheriff's Office is investigating the alleged battery. So, yeah, he supposedly slapped her around, but, I mean, looking at her mugshot, if she was taken into custody, maybe he shook her and stuff, I don't know. But, it's still to be considered. The Union City Police Department announced it. Oh, wait, I already read that. Hughes, an employee of the Randolph Eastern School Corporation, was involved in a sexual relationship with a second student. As the investigation progressed, Union City Police Department investigators uncovered evidence that Alicia Hughes had also engaged in a sexual relationship with a separate high school student who was 17 years old at the time. Police determined that Hughes and the underage student engaged in sexual intercourse on at least 5 occasions. On February 17th, Hughes was arrested and charged with 5 counts of child seduction related to the sexual relationship with the minor student. According to Indiana law, child seduction is when a person uses or exerts the person's professional relationship to engage in sexual intercourse, other sexual conduct, or any fondling or touching with the child with the intent to arouse or satisfy the sexual desires of the child or the person. According to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, RAIN, child seduction is a level 5 felony in Indiana if the child is at least 16 years old but less than 18. If convicted on all 5 charges of child seduction, Hughes faces a prison term of between 5 and 30 years, plus a fine of up to $10,000. Yeah, she'll probably do 5, 3 at the most. Cleveland.com reported that Randolph Eastern School Corporation Superintendent Neil Adams, not the comic book artist, announced that Hughes has been removed from all duties with students pending the outcome of the legal process. Now, this is pretty standard. Now, she hasn't been convicted, so they don't outright fire them. I didn't know that this would apply to a secretary. She's not a teacher, but I guess, school employee, so it works that way. However, Hughes' attorney is calling for action after the Union City Police Department released a video that showed a portion of the school employee's interrogation by an offer. Hughes' attorney, David M. Jordan, called the release of the interrogation video an injustice of magnanimous proportions. Mark Ader, the Union City Police Department's Director of Public Safety, admitted that his department released the video, but said that it was lawful to do so. The release was lawful, measured, and deliberate, Ader told the Star Press. The portion disclosed contained no admission of criminal conduct. Oh, well, then. Ader pointed out that the 2-minute video clip shows an officer discussing accusations that Hughes had sex with an 18-year-old student, which he said is conduct that is legal under Indiana law. Huh? Oh, you mean with the 18-year-old, right. Ader added the department exercised restraint and ensured no protected information was disclosed. Ader stressed that all the names of any alleged victims had been redacted from the video. Hughes' attorney argued for his own selfish reasons, Ader had impeded the defendant's right to a fair trial, led the public to believe there are multiple alleged victims, and drawn attention to the defendant's request for a lawyer. Well, so far they're saying there's two. Now, the 18-year-old is of age, but still he's a student at the high school, and she's in a position of authority, so you can chalk that up, but that doesn't go as far as sex with a minor. But the 17-year-old qualifies. And they're saying, I don't know what they've gathered, but they're saying, oh yeah, they got together 5 times. Jordan claimed that the video went viral, racking up millions of combined views of the media accounts containing the defendant's interrogation footage. The video of the interrogation appeared on numerous websites, including the New York Post, as well as the Sun and the Mirror in the UK. Jordan demanded an expedited hearing and for the judge to order Mark Ader and the Union City Police Department not to release any other evidence or statements to the media about Hughes' case without prior approval of the court. Jordan also asked Ader to issue a public apology for releasing the interrogation video. The attorney called on Randolph Circuit Court Judge J. Toney to order Ader to pay Jordan's office not less than $10,000 for the time and effort his law firm has spent collecting evidence for the gag order and presenting the matter to the court. Plus, the $10,000 would fit for the fine she's going to have to pay. Randolph County Prosecutor David Daly also expressed concern over the release of the interrogation video. Daly noted the recent release of the video interview of Ms. Hughes did not come from my office. I didn't do it. And my office did not authorize, approve, or have anything to do with its release. The Star Press reported that Daly stressed that he is committed to obtaining a fair trial in this case and to avoid prejudicing Ms. Hughes' right to a fair trial. Daly also declared that he is committed to seeking justice for victims. Ader proclaimed, "Let me be clear. The police department did not seek, nor was it required to seek, approval from the prosecutor's office before releasing this brief excerpt." Oh, well, if that's the case, there's really nothing you can do. WTRC-FM reported that Ader said he has had some issues with their prosecutor's office decision making on multiple cases as far as child abuse. During the interrogation interview, Hughes is heard confessing that she had sex with the 18-year-old student on 3 occasions, but none were before he turned 18. See, she carded him. The video shows the officer asking Hughes if she's had sex with any other students, to which she responds, no. The officer responds, "Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?" Hughes replied, "Yes." During the interrogation, Hughes is asked about the 17-year-old student, but she denies having sex with the boy. In the video, Hughes admits she met the student and sent him pictures. Oh, now we're getting to why you want this. According to the video, the officer questions Hughes on how the relationship with the 17-year-old started, to which she is seen on video saying, I'll need my lawyer here at this point. After revealed that the investigation is on... Oh, Ader. Yeah, that guy's weird name. Ader revealed that the investigation is ongoing and that Hughes may face additional charges because investigators have several electronic devices that search warrants are being executed on right now. We've got multiple electronic devices that were used during this unfortunate crime that she committed. So we're still ironing through all that stuff. According to WTRC, Ader said the investigation can be lengthy because law enforcement must sort through electronic devices and social media accounts. So that's where the pictures will be, which she's already admitted. I mean, gee, I sent pictures. Yeah. Like of kitty cats and stuff. The Union City Police Department said there were no new developments in the investigation. Anyone with information about the case is urged to contact Union City Police Department at 937-968-7744. The Randolph County Prosecutor's Office did not immediately respond to a request for comment by Blaze News. WTRC-FM reported that Hughes is scheduled to appear in court April 16th, which, oh yeah, she's already done it. Oh, well, there you go. She's on her way to court and all that. So, hey, what did the video show and all that?
Out of all the
Huh?
having to tell,
Yeah.
one of the most respected people I look at and that I love as a friend and a colleague.
Yeah.
And someone that has heard a lot of
Right.
my life issues with my husband. That was a very hard thing I had to tell him. I said, you know, like, my days are very bad and I'm needing zero keys and I need to resign.
Right.
He said, I know.
Yep.
And he's like, we're going to figure it out. We're going to be strong. It's going to be okay. You know, I'll do my job. I have to write up and figure out my end of things. And
Sure.
we'll be in contact and go from there.
Well.
And I said, you know, I never meant to be a horrible person. Like, I never meant for it to be like that.
Really?
And no justifying it. But
Yeah, it was an accident.
just so beat up and mentally and physically abused by Bailey for so long. And that attention was
Okay.
there. And as stupid as that sounds,
Yep.
that's where I'm at. And now we're here.
Hmm.
And how did it all start?
I mean, I'm not here at this point.
Okay, that's
Maybe at this point.
All right, there we go. It's when she admitted about the pictures. I think that's the big problem with the lawyer, and he's got this is a desecration of her rights and all this sort of stuff. And you know, you could talk about, hey, this, you know, could be detrimental to the trial because the jury will be influenced, and any potential jurors who may see this, and now that it's all over the place, yeah, sure, before they hear the case that's being brought against her. So the idea would be to rule it out. But I don't know. I don't think they're going to have a case for that. You know, because she volunteers this, that she sent them pictures, which, I mean, they're going to find. So there's really no way for her to counter that and to try to explain that away and giggle tee hee or whatever. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. So there you go. And what would they get that ruled out? I don't think so. And then ultimately she's like, oh, I'm going to need a lawyer. Yeah, well, that should have been the first thing you did, especially since you know you're guilty of sin. And I'd have been caught, and then just, oh, the abuse, I had it with my husband or whatever. Of course, I had to sleep with a teenage boy, you know, to deal with the stress of that. Sure. You know, so anyway, there you go. There's that tape. Is there an actual case for defense counsel to have it run out? It depends on the judge in a lot of ways, but I don't see that as you have to remove it. Just because she asked for counsel a little late, that's on her. And but it's the pictures. That's what everything else, of course she's going to fess up to the 18-year-old. She did. The husband's like saw it and all this sort of stuff. And she's like, yeah. So then he's like, well, what about this other kid? Oh, no, nothing happened there. Well, I sent him some pictures. So that's the problem. Oh, what pictures? It's obvious. She sent him nudes, So, whoopsie. Oh, no. So the lawyer's like, damn it. It's hard enough as it is already. It's the fare you had with the 18-year-olds. Bad, but it's not going to get you jail time and all that. But this will. So.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Lawyer.
I don't have to look anymore now that I've seen you. I don't have to dream anymore now that you came true. I'm already yours. I don't have to look anymore now that I've seen you. I don't have to dream anymore now that you came true. I'm already yours. I'm already yours. I don't have to look anymore now that I've seen you. I don't have to dream anymore now that you came true. I'm already yours.
I wish these things would work a lot more smoother than they do, but well, it'll just have to work. So anyway, there you go. You got a little Nailsin News introduction, and now I will do, this business of coloring drawings I did ages ago. Some of them are a little newer. So here's Joe Kent and Megyn Kelly. There's Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly. There's Andrew Klavan and Glenn Beck. Michael Knowles and Officer Tatum. Ben Shapiro again. This I gotta change. Makes him look like he's Japanese almost or something. But and Matt Walsh. What's this? Oh, some Candace Owens and Megan as well. And but this one is one of the more recent ones of some theory that Candace's husband got a black eye because she kicked him in the face. Now, why would you go that she kicked him in the face? Well, apparently she had a broken foot for a while, and then he has a black eye. So, oh boy, and by her own metrics of conspiracy theory, well, one has to conclude that not all was well in the Candace household. Let's see what. I guess we'll go with that. Color for Candace. And already, yeah, not bad. Okay, we'll give her some lipstick here, I guess. And we'll move in on that. So, of course, well, theories abound. Oh, no, what could they have been fighting about? And the idea was that, well, she came home and found him with a man. The long since been suspicions that her husband, George Farmer, is a closeted gay. And then there's theories that Candace herself, if not outright gay, bisexual, you know. And there's some video of her going on about, I guess she's making fun of someone about being skinny or something. I don't know. But there's this woman just constantly kissing her and making out, you know, just, I mean, I don't know what the hell that's about, but you know, whatever. It wouldn't really matter, except, of course, again, by her metrics, which is virtually nothing. You know, accusing people of murder and all this sort of stuff. You got to go with, well, she's this messed up bisexual, married to a gay man for some sort of position, which I guess the money he inherits, and then combined with their own, they become a formidable force pursuing power in the new frontier of podcasting, you know. And for the most part, for the numbers of her show and stuff, I guess it worked out. But what she engages in is just absolute evil. You know, and it's one of those things. She's one of these characters now that this keeps happening. And it's, you know, someone, well, you know, I listened to what she had to say. I like some of her work and some of the shows she did and stuff like that. And she would do commentary on other shows and seemed to have some points here and there. And you think, oh, yeah, Candace is all right. And then, but the thing of it is, and this is always the lesson with any personalities on television and now podcasting and the like, you don't really know any of them. You know what they let you know, as far as details about them and stuff. But as someone that you actually, someone who's really in your life in one way or another, you know them more or less. I mean, can you really know anyone? Well, yeah, I understand that. But to go this bizarre, and to how much of it, does she believe any of it? And I would have to assume she did to some extent. You know, started out as a leftist, then does a 180 way back when, and probably, you know, stuck her finger in the wind and realized, well, there ain't much happening here on the left side, or more likely, and this always happens. This happens an awful lot in the realm of politics and all that. So you really should not expect it to be any different for when it's just the world of covering these, or commentary and stuff like that, media. It's that most of the spots within those political realms are taken. And especially with politics, when you're running for office and stuff like that, a lot of it, you're in it for the money because you really don't have any wherewithal to make your fortune in the business world. So you go into politics and you've got a better chance of making it there, if only, to scam everybody, and so you do that, but it's going to require the realms of power, and then you get a taste of power, and that's a whole other ball of wax. Some of these crooks who just want the money are nowhere near as dangerous or as bad as they're bad. Don't get me wrong, but nowhere near as bad as your typical crook who's like, look, I don't care, I'm in it for the money, and that sort of thing. The ideologues, well, it's very religious for them, you know. It's like, you know, I'll end you if I have to, you know, that kind of thing. You get more of that attitude. Why is it smudging? That's weird. Oh, geez, this is all messed up. Look, come on, select only that, and then this and this. Let's see if that'll work. So, but the problem for them is the real power would be in the Democratic Party for the past 100 years. They're the ones who infiltrated academia, they infiltrated entertainment, and definitely, first and foremost, and most importantly, really, although academia goes a long way, but most importantly, bureaucracy, you know. And the Republicans are nowhere near that, you know. And at one time, I mean, you know, you can understand that the argument of not doing that because it's very corrupt and it's unseemly, and despite being called the Democratic Party, very undemocratic, you know, because that has nothing to do with power for the populace and the people and all that. It's only for a very few. And but when you want a piece of that action, you know, well, running in the Republican Party is you can get some position, but never quite as much as what the Democrats got. And it's going to be a lot harder and a lot longer. But you know, you can end up being like a Mitch McConnell and the like, who's there forever, and becomes a multimillionaire for it. You know, that kind of thing. But once you get a taste of the power, that's part of the reason there. It's not just you can make a fortune and then, oh, well, I'll retire. You know, I'm tired of this crap and that kind of thing. But the power, once you get a taste of it, you can see what it does to them. You know, you've got these walking corpses who never leave because they can't give it up. And sure, it's true of the story you'll hear about someone who retires and then they're dead within a year. I mean, they seemed fine and healthy for their age and everything. And then finally, hey, you don't have to work anymore. You can, I don't know, go fishing and stuff. And sometimes it works out for whoever because they're really serious about it and, you know, golf or whatever, hobbies and stuff. They really want to get into that and they really enjoy it and stuff. But for most of them, their life was the job. And even though it was frustrating and stuff like that, but once it's over, it's just kind of, I don't know, not doing anything anymore, you know? And, well, it's sad. It just ends that way. It's rather scary when you think about it, you know? But anyway, same thing for these aging, zombified politicians who never leave. And a lot of them, hell, they got started, some of them in their late 20s. You know, you used to be more of used to be, it was much older, but people in their 30s would run for Congress and stuff like that. Some of them might even get elected governor and that kind of thing, which in some respects is a different matter to some degree. It's state by state, but it's a stepping stone to other stuff. And then they'll end up in the Senate or they'll run for president, stuff like that. But the Senate's kind of one of their big goals. If you want to be a big wig in Congress as a representative, that's going to take some doing, and you really got to, you know, buckle down for that. But nevertheless, that tends to be the deal for that. And so, you know, they get there and they get a hold of it and they just can't let go. It's so good, you know, and then it's that fear of once it's over, it's like, well, what else is there? Now, some of that you would think, well, you have a legacy, you have children and stuff, and you're kind of bringing them up in the same world one way or another, if not outright running for office, then certainly they'll set up their, consulting firms. And, oh boy, you can make bank doing that, not really, not honestly, but it's like they have to go to you. They have to take the services of your quote unquote consulting. And that's how you're able to kind of sort of legally pour money into a politician's coffers. Oh, because it's just his son's company, But the son doesn't really have any experience or anything of any note that any corporate powerhouse or whatever would need him for, anything. But he does have daddy's phone number. So, yeah. And then, favor after favor, that's how that works. And sometimes it pays off. It's a protection racket, So some of the regulatory fees and damage that the state could do to you won't happen to you, but it can happen to your competitors if they didn't pay up. And a lot of times it's the competitor who's new to the field, younger, leaner, more hungry for profit and stuff, and like you used to be in your youth. But you've gotten your position and you just don't feel the need of improving your product or anything like that because, well, you're not really on the cusp of anything anymore. But hey, don't worry, you've got protection, and so the up and coming business gets squashed by power. It ain't just money. These are two different things. So that's how that works for the political class. So what about this? Are any of these people, they're not going to run for office, I would assume. People keep talking about Tucker running for president and stuff. Yeah, that's, I doubt it. But in this, to pursue maximum attention for the purposes of just all you got to do is sit in front of a camera and and spew your crap, and people tend to eat it up, allegedly, and you have your position that way. So how much of it do you really believe it or whatever? I don't know. But once it starts, it's not good to just have you got a pretty sizable audience. You're doing all right. No, there must be more, and that kind of thing. But in the sense of people who end up on the right and turn out not to be so much there, have a lot of the same articles, a lot of the same arguments, if you can call them that a lot of people on the left use. It's like a lot of identity, stuff like that, stuff that doesn't have a lot of gravity to it at all, but can hit on emotion, and the manipulation of emotion goes a long way, rather than hard science, math, reality. Nobody likes reality. The truth is seldom pretty, so it's always kind of like, hey, wait, what about this idea? Oh yeah, and it turns out the free lunch is possible and stuff like that. That's kind of something of an example for how the left sells itself, and boy, it still works, But then you got these people who, okay, they would have wanted to be on the leftist scam because that's Hollywood and stuff. And for the longest time, media discussing politics and stuff, that all became entertainment a very long time ago. I mean, they were like, well, it's when cable news and stuff happened. No, it was long before that too. Wasn't as spread out and pervasive as it became, but it was 24/7 once the cable stuff started. But nevertheless, that clown show of politics became the entertainment. So that's another way to make it in. It's very difficult to break into Hollywood and become a major star, and all that sort of stuff. There's very few. There's thousands of them go in there, and that meat grinder might get a role here and there. And under the right circumstances and met the right people at the right possible time, they would have become a mega star. But it didn't happen for them, so they did a few shows, maybe a movie here and there, and then were forgotten, you know. Didn't sleep with the right producer, all that stuff. And whereas over here, well, you still probably got to sleep with producers and stuff. But nevertheless, there's all kinds of positions. And all you got to do is have some amount of charm to you, some sort of angle that sets you above the others. Because there's plenty of others around there. And no one's really going to care about you because you're just not that interesting to listen to. And that's the wrong one. And so, well, all right, forget about being a rock star or a Hollywood star and that kind of thing. I could be a media star. And so you get your lines down about what, hits on people where they are, whether the issues is race or the economy or war and all that kind of stuff, the trans issues and stuff that was going around, all that, whatever. And that becomes your sort of thing, whichever side you want. Well, with media, most of that for success and stardom and big bucks was on the shows dominated by the left. Then, Fox News came along. So that shook things up. Shook things up a bit. And so now there was a place to go there. Well, why, if your beliefs are on the left, would you go to Fox News? Same reason that there are some people who would rather be a Democrat than a Republican go to the Republicans, because the Democrat spots are all taken. Now you can try to primary one of these guys, and I, sometimes, once in a while, maybe, it's unlikely, but you might ruffle feathers on the way in. Not a whole lot, because, boy, it's becoming quite clear there aren't a lot of friends in that world. There's allies, sure, but they really don't like each other at all, because they're all miserable, self-absorbed, infantilized monsters. So that's another problem too. But nevertheless, that's the situation they're in. They would much rather be on one side, but you can't. Those seats are taken. Trying to primary your way in, it's possible, but it often doesn't happen. Every now and then it does. That's how AOC got in. She took down a career Democrat in her seat and all that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, it can happen, but it's rather rare. Others, well, I'll just join the Republicans, and I'll be the moderate Republican. I'm the center or something like that. Sometimes that'll work. Or just outright lie and say you're a full-on, conservative and right-wing, or MAGA as it is today, and stuff like that. And you don't mean a word of it, but it'll get you there. And sometimes, you might pull the mask off later, something like that, or argue and just lie and say, no, I'm still the same guy, and all that sort of stuff. And, well, kind of, you just didn't know it. But that's the thing. You didn't really know them, because you'd never vote for them if you did. And so that's why people like that end up there. And that appears to be somewhat the case for Candace. She really didn't have any hardcore beliefs as far as conservatism goes. Does religion really matter anything to her? It seems to be a very warped version of it. But probably not. And not in reality. I mean, it's more about aggrandizement of herself than any humble positioning before the Lord and all that sort of stuff. So that's about it, because you can just go a short amount of time before how she has been over the past couple of years now, and it's a complete 180. And that alone is pretty strange, in that, I had some epiphany, and my eyes are open, and all this sort of stuff. And it's all this gobbledygook mess, and satanic cults, and it just gets worse from there. And that's where she ended up. But how much of that did she really believe? And I mean, I don't know what metrics told her, hey, there's potential, there's a market here, and that sort of thing. And I don't know what, and that's not entirely untrue. There's a market of broken and lost people because of the events of the past, really 20 years. There's always been distrust of government, even institutions and stuff like that. And, conspiracy theories abound. But especially recent years, you talk about pouring gasoline on that sentiment. And it was just constant, what with COVID, the wars, of course, and then the election and all that. I mean, good Lord, one after another. And gee, I wish there weren't so many conspiracy theories. But, well, maybe stop pouring all that gasoline on the flame. But, well, okay, you had to get yours. And now look at you. But, so, yeah, there's this, well, I don't really believe nobody, nothing at all. Well, you got to expect that. And it's unfortunate. But some people saw opportunity. And certainly, Candace appears to be one of those. So how much does she really believe that, I don't know, what's her name, Macron has a penis and stuff like that. And then the really personal thing is, of course, her bizarre obsession with Charlie Kirk's widow and all that sort of stuff. And then Charlie himself. And then there's that whole history. So that's probably more personal, just in wanting to attack it all and having been drummed out of the organization and all that. Still got some, wanting some vengeance or whatever, or feeling like, her ass wasn't kissed quite the way she expects it to be when they discovered who she really was. So you really get to know her, then you're like, oh, God. The same thing with the Daily Wire. Hey, we'll have this conservative black woman, and won't that be great? And people, people call us a racist all the time. Well, looky here, that kind of thing. And people who call you a racist all the time are going to do it regardless. Even if you're black yourself, it won't matter. So there's no pleasing that. So that's a mistake number one. I mean, hell, even Jeremy Boring said, yeah, it was the greatest mistake of my life, hiring Candace Owens. Well, the problem is you didn't know her. And, it's a hard thing to do. People fool you all the time, and it's going to happen. But to this level, geez, I mean, a lot of it was like people didn't like her. They didn't like working with her. She was rather nasty to the crew and all this sort of stuff, which you can expect for someone who's, used to being the center of attention all the time and that kind of thing. And just doesn't really have much use for anyone else. And so that's her attitude, probably. And so, well, that should have been some kind of warning sign. But after a while, they got to know her, after the fact. So, whoops. And that's how that goes. So it's probably the same thing everywhere she went, whether it was, Turning Point, Daily Wire, PragerU, all that stuff. And she's about Team Candace. She ain't about Team nobody else. And if you're in the way of that, well, she's got her sights on you. That's the deal. There ain't going to be no, hey, let's work together to make the world a better place and all that nonsense. She's not interested in that. she's interested in Candace. And there you go. That's how that works. So who cares what she really believes and everything? It doesn't really matter. She's a colossal waste of your time. It is interesting, though, and I've mentioned this before. I'm probably repeating a lot in this, and it probably will again if I do another image. But she did that documentary for Daily Wire about the Stephen Avery case that Netflix did, and that whole thing is about media manipulation and, you know, crafting a narrative in a certain way with imagery and all kind of fancy putting, you know, theatrics and whatnot. Which it is. I mean, the Making of a Murderer, it's one of those Netflix documentaries. It's very compelling, and oh man, you watch it. I myself never really bought that he was innocent. I was like, well, I don't think there's enough here. I don't know, but boy, they sure are showing all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, by the time you get the Daily Wire response to it, oh yeah, they lied through the whole damn thing. They doctored footage. They used footage that had nothing to do with it, and all this. I mean, it was bad. All over the place. And then you realize these producers knowingly were helping this guy who tortured this woman to death. I mean, it's just it's just evil. And then you had these people, no matter what, were dedicated to this man. They knew better. They always had a little smirk on their face when they were being questioned in the show. Well, but you got this wrong. You got that wrong. Yeah, sure I did. And all that sort of stuff. And of course, there's Candace, like, yeah, people, well, they get married to something, and they will not let it go. It's actually quite disturbing and all this stuff. She had to have been taking notes. It's like, wow, if these guys could do that for, well, it was two women, actually, yeah, for this series, imagine what I could do with an ongoing show. And, well, I guess she did, you know. So it's an odd thing that it plays out like that, because it wasn't long after that, you know, they Daily Wire parted company with Candace. And that's that. So did she kick her beard in the face? Maybe. Hey, I'm just asking questions. You know, so but again, yes, by her own metrics of all her idiot theories and whatnot, and her we're getting close 2 years later, we're getting close, you know, stuff like that. Why doesn't it fit? Probably fits like a sock on her foot, you know. So there you go. Might as well finish up these other Candace Owens drawings. Sometimes when she's got this look, you have to wonder, is that the real Candace? And you probably don't want to be in the room with her when she casts this look upon you. Yeah. It's like, ooh, uh-oh. Oh, no. Yeah. Giving you the evil eye. Because, I mean, look at George, you know. And he's got a black eye. Yeah. So, what's to become of all this? Well, that's up to you, the viewer. Yes. He was talking immediately because of cancel culture and what it did. Well, you know, the threat of it and whatnot is utilized now ever increasingly, even though it's not really happening in the case of the likes of Candace or Tucker or any of those guys. They still cry it, but you know, the cancel culture was, you know, you lost your job. You didn't lose your show, or YouTube could take down your channel, and did in quite a few cases. Patreon would kick people off it. all that type of stuff. And then it culminates with debanking, which they just had a case with the FTC saying, yeah, you can't do that. So that's good news. But can it stay in place? Well, not if the Democrats retake power. That can be easily undone. So, but it's nice that it's happened now. But anyway, that's power. That's cancel culture. You're completely gone. And then, of course, the debanking. Ultimately, you get debanked. And that's way more than just people saying your show is crap and people really shouldn't watch it. Well, everybody can have the opinion that you shouldn't watch a show. It's like Starfleet Academy. What's the point of watching that? It's crap. I saw the first episode. I was done. Now, if you just wanted to watch it so you can crap on it for your own YouTube channel, oh yeah, well I understand that. That's really the only use out of that piece of crap. But I didn't cancel it or nothing because I don't have the power to do that. That one I probably would have. But it wouldn't make any. It was very expensive. It didn't make any money, so that's how that works. If your piece of crap show makes money, usually, you're staying on. Oh yeah. Well, I'm actually tired and I want to move on. Oh no, you're not. But that's not the case with this business of people getting canceled. In the the idea sphere, however you want to put it, and but to claim that when it's market response, the market response means no one's interested in you anymore. Why aren't they interested? Well, they saw your product and they didn't like it. Now you can cry about it all you want, but when that happens, there's nothing you can do. That's not a bank saying no, you can't put your money here. So now what do? Put it in a mattress, I guess. That's all you can do. It is not the same if people ran out because, you said the wrong thing. Well, you were nice to the wrong candidate. Not that you openly supported them or anything. It wouldn't even have to be that. It could be very simple. I saw you liked a tweet, 5 years ago from so-and-so. Well, he's a Nazi, and all that. And of course, the guy wasn't really. But nevertheless, they'll decide who is and who isn't. That kind of thing. And so now, now you can't have a MasterCard and all that. So you lose your PayPal account. All that stuff, and that was cancel culture, and there was support from blithering idiots for it, who didn't work, didn't have a lot of money themselves, if any, other than assistance, and had no problem with any of that and would cheer it on. But who cares what they think? And so that was what it was. But to besmirch that and the damage done in those years, which was severe. And it's, that's a split that's going to stay there a while for people who just, are just that brutal and enjoy their little brief moment of satisfaction and power over, people they just never really liked to begin with. Whatever. And to say, it's someone who just said my show wasn't any good, and I'm completely wrong on this subject, and they're trying to cancel me. And just saying, look, I think this is a crappy show. I can't imagine why anyone would follow it for much longer, other than a few laughs at the idiocy. It's like Starfleet Academy. So why listen to Candace? It's all nuts, and you're an idiot if you're continuously listening to it. Thinking this is going anywhere, and that kind of thing. That's the thing about it. They're attacking my free speech. No, you see, free speech works like this. You have your free speech to say whatever, even nasty stuff. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, hate speech isn't free speech. It is. It is protected by it. You can't go around and, say, I want so-and-so done away with. And then, especially if you're putting up their address and the like, stuff like that. Oh, I wish someone would rid me of this pesky asshole, that sort of thing. You can't do that. And, death threats are actionable and all that sort of stuff. But a critique of whatever it is they do, or I just don't particularly like this guy and all that sort of stuff, yeah, you can do that. So when it's your commentary and stuff like that they don't like, they can make their case because they have free speech too. That's how that works. So you say all your dumb crap and say, well, this just sounds like a bunch of dumb crap. That's it. There's no canceling about it other than, well, the other guy won the argument, didn't he? Because your argument was just nonsense. And people say it, and then it's like, well, I ain't going to watch you no more. Well, I've been canceled. Well, yeah, that's market reaction. It's a metric of real life. You didn't have the goods. So everybody left. Nobody owes you an audience. So, yeah, there's no canceling of Candace. There's just response. And if you're such a free speech advocate, she isn't, then you would understand that. And it's like, well, I got to do a better job of my argument. Well, you can't, since it was all crap to begin with. It's a little late to say, well, I guess I was wrong about that. Gee, I'm sorry. I messed up. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to believe you now. So basically, she's just got to keep digging that hole at this point. But, I don't know. At one point, she's probably thinking, when I've made enough, then I'll quit this. But she'll probably end up in the same trap as the politicians I was talking about. They get a taste of that power and they can't let it go. They've made a lot of money, more money than they would have made in the real world. So they didn't have to do that. They could go pretty much. But just what if you can't let it go? What if you can't? So that'll probably be the trap for Candace as well. But so be it. She's gone way over the cuckoo's nest, but that's being too kind. It's more akin of the nest of evil. Well, then there's Megyn Kelly. Now, Megyn, so she was another Fox News star, and was there for quite a while. Climbed her way there, ended up with her own show, and then jumped ship to NBC, and then for some reason didn't see how that was going to turn out. Now NBC at the time was looking to reach the middle because they knew, once you've been infested by that lot, you're stuck with them. That's the problem. But they were like, wow, pursuing the leftist audience, it really isn't that big. And we got to try to just get it to the middle and hope for the best there. That should be a larger audience, and the potential there of, actually being a business that makes money. Well, we need to do that. So our own current crew and whatnot, their reputations are shot with the middle at this point. So maybe we can create a middle audience if we try to win over some of that Fox News talent. So Megyn was probably one of the bigger ones they got. There was a couple of others, but I think, Greta Van Susteren had a show for a bit. But Megyn was kind of the big hit because she had a successful primetime show on Fox News. Now, they brought her over to NBC, but it was going to be this morning show that she did. So she was looking to get out of the political discourse type thing. And you could, think that would be an easier way to go about it, in that it wouldn't be the type of thing that she would cover entirely. Of course, thanks to the left, they politicize everything. So it was virtually impossible to achieve, because they just won't allow it, So, but anyway, so she goes in there and wanted to do, I don't know, her version of Oprah, I guess. And looking back at it, I realize now that was kind of her dream come true. Here again, you have someone. Why did she go to Fox News? Because the other places were taken, and that was her opportunity. And that's true of a lot of them. It certainly was true of Allison Camerata, who was on there for a good while. Then she jumped to CNN and did a total 180 on her takes on things. I mean, it was just blatant leftist nonsense and crap. Is it her real views, or is she still just performing a character? Well, you can never know entirely for sure. I mean, if it was, then I suppose there's something there, but then she lied her way just for the position and money to begin with when she was at Fox. But odds are there's really nothing genuine about these people at all. It's hard not to come to that conclusion, seeing this bizarre display unfold in the podcast wars. But for Megyn, I suspect, if the opportunity to work for NBC had come first, she would have jumped at that. But not quite what, Fox News was getting. And, she was kind of a nobody when it started out. And then she became more popular, and she was able to climb the steps that way. And got her own show and, became a Fox News star. So she achieved it to some extent, but then NBC came a-calling, and that was like, wow, one of the legacy networks. And it's something she probably, dreamed. That was probably genuine, that she dreamed about and all that type of stuff. And again, wanting to be something akin to Oprah or whatever. Although Oprah did it. I mean, she had been a part of local news and whatnot in Chicago. But her syndicated show, that's a different means by which to achieve that. But anyway, nevertheless, Megyn probably saw herself achieving something like that and becoming the Megyn brand and all that good stuff. And so, that was dreams come true. So when they turned on her, and they were going to immediately, the Viper's Nest that was NBC News, never mind what the business-minded people were trying to get through those thick skulls wanted to do with all this. As soon as they saw an opportunity to put those knives in Megyn Kelly's back, oh boy, they did. And that was it. So the whole thing collapses. Megyn Kelly is shown the door, and to that extent of it, even now, I think I do believe her when she says she was pretty devastated by it. She was really down in the dumps and all that, because, that's the world she wanted to be in. But she was never going to be forgiven for, Fox News and stuff like that. And she didn't go full Allison Camerata, too. I don't know if maybe that would have worked. She did do the whole thing about Roger Ailes and all that, and I don't know how much of that really involved her. She didn't. I don't think she ever made a outright allegation, that he pulled any stunt with her. But the main lawsuit was, I'm already forgetting her name. Was it Gretchen Carlos? I forget. But anyway, that kind of thing, and so. But other than that, she didn't really go full, leftist now that she was on NBC. And primarily NBC was trying to avoid it anyway because they said, hey, you'll just do this topical show, a morning show, and it won't be this politicized thing. And so that, that was an attempt to avoid that and all that. But oh no, unless you confess your sins and take the flogging and all that, which she didn't do. So they had the daggers ready for Meghan. And so eventually they saw their chance and they shoved them in. Out the door she goes. So, well, after she got over her depression, she actually got help from Ben Shapiro. It's funny to think of that now. Who didn't hire her at Daily Wire or anything, but he said, look, you've got the skill and stuff. You need to get in on this and just go completely independent, and stop chasing these dinosaur networks anyway. And so he invited her out to tour the Daily Wire studios and all our operations and whatnot, which she did. And it sparked her excitement about it. This is a story she told and all that. Both seem to have acknowledged that this occurred, and that was sort of the impetus for her starting her own podcast. So it starts off very small and stuff, but she had an audience. There was an interest in her. Plus, a lot of people on the right would have been sympathetic to her, even with the NBC News jump, because, they screwed her, they were unfair to her and all that sort of stuff. And so there was some sympathy. That goes a long way. And then lo and behold, she was very successful. Her show shot through rather quickly. Like I said, it starts off small and all that, and you got to start somewhere. And she gets deals with Sirius XM and all that. And so there you go. All's good and cool for Meghan. And was up and running and going, and everything seemed all right. Well, this was... the cracks began to form for no good reason at all. With basically the Candace Owens thing, which there wasn't much between them. There was some of that because the stuff about Tucker was happening, and that she did. She had been a colleague of Tucker from their days at Fox. She said Tucker was a good friend. Tucker was nice to her also, not just Ben Shapiro, about the NBC thing and all that. Sort of gave her some words of support, that kind of thing. And so you can understand, she says, well, that sticks with her. She's going to remember that and that sort of thing. So, okay, going to give Tucker the benefit of the doubt at the outset, for a time. You could certainly understand it. Other people were already mad, Jewish groups and whatnot. No, he must be disavowed. And so you can understand to a point. I was like, now, wait a minute, and all this stuff. Since then, well, it's way worse than that. And, with Candace saying she didn't really know her, said she didn't want to discuss it, which, he says, well, he says, you can't tell me what I do on my show. It's my show and all that sort of thing. The problem with it is that it doesn't logically work. She trashes people on her show all the time. Most of whom, when I used to watch it, I thought, they had it coming. I think they did. And these were people on the left. Her excuse for Candace was, well, she's a young mother. Well, there's young mothers she's trashed too for being trashy, and Candace is certainly that for what she's done. Then the death of Charlie happens, and I don't know how you sit quietly after what Candace has been doing, and claim that, well, she's a young mother, or, well, and then say, we've gotten closer, or some crap like that. And then say that, oh God, I just want to hold Erica and protect her and stuff. It's very strange and bizarre considering what has unfolded, and doesn't really have much of an explanation for it. Doesn't have any real argument. And, which is odd considering she's a lawyer, she's argued a lot of different scenarios very well. And now just seems to have become completely infantilized. I mean, just comes across as a 13-year-old girl. And it just keeps happening. Lost her mind over Mark Levin. Now, originally, her and Tucker were talking about Mark Levin. Mark Levin can't stand. Tucker can't stand Mark Levin. And then Megan goes, well, he's not well. He's really lost it. He's got mental problems. He's the same guy he's always been. He's older. But these are the same arguments he always made when she heaped high praise on him. So it doesn't add up at all. There's really no logical defense to it. And then eventually she makes fun of his pee-pee. Then they got back at it again recently, apparently, and then he responds, okay, deep throat. Or she was still calling him micro because of small pee-pee. And he says, okay, deep throat. And then you had to go with misogyny. No, Megan. No. You opened the door. No one's going to have any sympathy for you. You can't go complaining to somebody for what you just did. So it's like, okay, well, maybe this is the language you'll understand. Because their initial thing to people complain, hey, look, what Candace is doing is terrible, and you, you took on other people. Why not her and all that? And she just, well, fuck off. So that's her answer. Again, 12-year-old girl. Or 13, give or take. And that's the level. I had a lot of respect for her, and this is another one. Again, she's a TV personality, so should have known better, I didn't know her at all. I don't know who Megan Kelly is. What does she really believe and all that? Does she jump around that? A lot of people were jumping on her because when she was on the NBC show, she was coming across as pro-trans and stuff, and now she's vehemently against it and all that. Some of that, especially in the early days of all that stuff, I would take it that, it's like a lot of movies. It takes advantages of your goodwill to, hey, just be nice. Don't be mean. These people are dealing with this, and no one quite understands it and all that. And to a certain point, you can say, yeah, I'm not interested in troubling anybody or bothering them or whatever, and that sort of thing. Well, then drag queen story hour and stuff like that. Oh, no, that sort of thing. So at the outset, but geez, I tell you, I think it was the Today Show that had that kid that would dress up like a stripper and dance around, and they were cheering it on. It was, holy crap, it was so horrific, that actually happened. But I don't think Megan did any of that on her show. But then, it's like, so, yeah, you kind of have something of an argument, but considering how she is now with these idiot arguments, that's way beneath the intellect that she at least seemed to have. Does she believe in anything? Yeah, I don't know. But, well, there it is. Pellel Scar want don't is her karate discipline. Pellel, I thought you were drawing how Scarlett hurt her foot first, but that's not. No, I'm not doing any of that. Look, I could do it some other time. I got to get these things colored, their previous drawings and whatnot. And other people have covered that. What am I supposed to do? Well, I draw pictures of her foot, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know. People are better at this than I am. So, But I know how to draw pictures and stuff. So anyway, there you go. All right, back to it. So I guess I'll do Walsh and Shapiro. Although, again, the eyes, I really got to fix that. Oh, damn, that doesn't do any good to do a white line. There we go. All right. So, of course, I'll worry about that later. Let me go ahead and put his flesh. So, of course, Matt Walsh's got his show and everything. He's been doing this great history documentary series now. I recommend it. I still think Bill Whittle does the best, but I don't think they're going to be doing it anymore with him. I don't know. It's too bad. He was really good at it. But Matt's show is the shows he's doing on the Civil War and all that, and the Indian Wars and everything, it's pretty damn good. So you'll have to become a subscriber, although I think maybe he will eventually post them on his channel. Can't remember. I think there's at least one episode of there. Maybe that's the deal. You get the first one, which I'm already forgetting. What was that? There's one on slavery, and then there's one on the Indians, and then the Civil War itself, I think, or no. Damn it, I'm already forgetting. This is terrible. I'm praising this, and then I can't even do it right because I'm too busy, trying to color this and talk. It's again, it's all very embarrassing. But, pretty much used to that at this point. So I think I have noticed some gray hairs in the beard. Sorry, Matt, but it happens. What are you going to do? Well, I mean, you could put that crap in it and all that. Or you can consider it a badge of honor. Yeah. And then, it's great. I did catch his show today. He was talking about the new moon mission. And he's all excited about it, And, there's a lot to be made about that. It's not a bad point, and there's all kinds of advantages beyond just the achievement of space travel and whatnot. That certainly was the case in the original moon mission, and don't see any reason why it wouldn't be the same this time around. But one wonders, Trump started Star Force and all that. Is this also a play against China? Because the Chinese had their eyes set on the moon. Whether they can actually get there, damn it, anytime soon, I don't know. Damn. I hate it when I just got to zoom in all the time. I was already doing stuff. But anyway, quite possibly that is the case. And so you got to make damn sure the United States dominates the moon. And it could very well be. Yeah. So this is underway for the moment. Of course, George Bush had announced moon missions and stuff, and then nothing ever came of it. Well, this one they seem to be talking very seriously about it and getting ready to launch some test vehicles and whatnot. And boy, if they get back up on, because then the idea was to get settled on the moon, make the base on the moon, all that type of stuff, and then launch for Mars. if that's, within the realm of possibility. I mean, I think you got to consider, how do they get back? So you got to build a vehicle that can land, of course, and then take off. I assume reconnect with an orbiting vehicle, so there would be some of the crew who go to Mars, but they never get to actually land on it. Similar to the moon landing, that one astronaut stayed in the main ship, the moon lander went down, and of course, although Mars' gravity is not as powerful as the Earth because it's smaller, it does have way more gravity than the moon. So a Mars lander probably going to need a little something extra to blast out of there, to break orbit and reconnect with, basically the mothership, I suppose, and that sort of thing. So they'll have to figure out all kinds of stuff, and oh boy, you don't want to get stuck at Mars because it's not like you can just, oh, damn it, I'll have to buy another ticket to get out of here. No, there's nothing else. This is it. So if it goes wrong, well, you're going to die here, probably in space or on Mars, So that later, when they figure that stuff out, they can finally send a crew that shows up. Hey, look, these are those guys who died way back when on the first mission, when everyone gave up on it for a while. Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? It sure is, but, well, we got stuff to do, and they move on. And maybe build like a monument and stuff to the pioneers who sadly perished on the first mission. It could go that way. It could. And you don't want to be those guys. You want, his fantasies about being heroic and your endeavors and everything. And sure, but really, I mean, you're stuck on Mars, and I don't think it'll go like the Matt Damon. Oh, geez, that is bad. What the hell? I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, Matt Damon or whatever. So the idea is, hey, we're going to figure out how to get back, right? And so there you go. I do recall one of the things was there was thinking like, well, it's going to take quite a bit of fuel to achieve this. So the idea would be to send a robot ship that then lands on the planet and then makes its own fuel. It just becomes a little fuel making factory out of, I guess, hydrogen. I don't know. And long before the initial vessel arrives with the astronauts, and so by the time they get there, they're going to land where the robot ship landed, and lo and behold, there's the fuel waiting for them, so they can land. They take their pictures of themselves playing golf on Mars, and all that sort of stuff, planting the flag, and all that. Maybe riding around on the Mars. This time, instead of the moon buggy, it would be the Mars buggy, which they'll sadly have to leave behind, and all that. And then they get to the fuel, and then cool, you're good to go. That's how that would work. So maybe that's how the plan would go. I don't know. I'm not a rocket scientist, so I don't have to come up with these ideas. They do. And I expect them to do it before they launch people over there. Because otherwise, well, I don't think they should get paid, I think they need to reimburse, NASA or whatever if it fails. That should be the thing. Oh, well, we tried, no, that's not good enough. So anyway, that's the future moon mission that Matt Walsh was all excited about. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and plus all the No Kings protester, where the No King protester was explaining how people need to be taught a lesson and learn to respect and listen to the authorities and know what they're talking about, which yeah, that sounds like a king. But and then, of course, most of them didn't know what to say at all, which is typical of these things. It's like, well, you know, what inspired you to come out here and all this? Oh boy, we're losing our democracy and everything. I mean, you're literally protesting the government, you know, and in an actual tyrannical state, you don't get to do that. But anyway, nevertheless, that was about as far as they got. He says, yeah, well, like what? You know, and they really didn't have anything, and most of them didn't know what they were doing. One woman dressed up like a banana. At least she's like, oh, geez, she couldn't come up with anything. She said, oh no, I'm going to sound like an idiot. Well, you know, don't feel too bad. I mean, you're out there on the street dressed up like a banana. You know, I don't know that really achieves anything. But at least you were smart enough not to attack police officers and stuff like that, to the point with a lot of chaotic noise and all that stuff, calling them all kind of names and stuff, threatening their lives and putting them into the position where people are grabbing at their weapons and everything. And then, oh no, they have to open fire. Yeah, that's why that happens. So, you know, hey, they didn't do that, at least not in the footage I saw, you know. So, yeah, he did cover that. But another thing about Matt Walsh is he's really big on aliens from outer space. He thinks there's something to that, you know. Whereas Shapiro is like, no, that's nonsense. There's really no evidence of that at all, Dad. At least last time I checked. And so they kind of go at it. They are over it. He thinks this is all foolish, whereas Walsh, oh, I mean, the idea that, you know, there's nothing else out there is, well, ridiculous. You know, and it's the typical argument for it. But, I mean, you know, if a spaceship landed, sure, Shapiro would go, oh, well, there it is. That kind of thing. That's what it's going to take for him to say, oh, well, look at that. And, yeah, that would be the deal. But, yeah, which it's odd for Shapiro. Now, a lot of people, they don't like him, you know. But so much for his Jewish heritage is that his Vulcan heritage, you know, because, you know, he doesn't care about your feelings because facts don't. Stuff like that. And, I mean, just look at him. He has no emotions. He's a Vulcan. Say, if you understand Star Trek, you get that. So anyway, but when it comes to aliens, I mean, that's one of those things. Oh boy, you're going to win that debate. Well, how? You know, you really. Yeah. Now, there's all kinds of theories, and about what it would take to travel the gulf of light years between the Earth and at least some of the planets they say we've discovered that, at least by Earth standards, appear capable of supporting life. And so, you know, maybe there's a civilization there that quite possibly is more advanced than our own because it's possibly much older and that sort of thing. And so at some point a long time ago, did they launch a ship that could reach the Earth, and provided there's the other theories of space travel, like wormholes and stuff like that. If that's the case, then, well, it seems like it would be very possible. And that's like they've learned to at least have a map of some sort of where certain wormholes are, and could get you to your destination, which is, I don't know, some other planet that you noticed. Well, let's go look at that one, see what's there. And that's what they do. If you got that, then that really would be eye-opening, because then if they come along and actually make contact, and then say, yeah, there's these wormholes. In fact, you got one not far from you. It's just outside your solar system, which, of course, is, well, that's incredibly far, but not impossible to reach. Not entirely. I mean, it would be right now. And then, oh boy, wouldn't everything really change? It sure would. And then you have the problem of, even if they're not deadly invaders and, they come to eat our brains or whatever, but their impact culturally would be overwhelming. And whatever humanity was meant to be would, well, cease to exist, So, but I don't know, in some form or fashion, it'd probably continue, This is, well, maybe we'll absorb them, and, I don't know. Then there's always the, hey, they'll perceive us as a threat and do us in. It could happen. You just don't know. And, until it does. So, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be looking for them or anything. Maybe not send any messages out to say, hey, here we are. Oh, we already did. Oh, yeah. I think it was Stephen Hawking who was saying, look, it's probably not a good idea to do that. Well, a little late, So, yeah, it's too bad. But then you got, well, they come all the way over here, and they got way more technology. Why would they even bother to come here to conquer the... Well, there may be certain things they would like to have. Whoops, messed that up. And they've kind of burned through it, and but we still have a lot of it. So it's that kind of thing. But odds are, the ship itself, or ships, would not be carrying the alien peoples from that other world. No, it would be a ship of robots, programmed to probably steal some stuff from us that they want. Some suggestions would go for water, others, the vegetation, the chlorophyll and stuff like that. Could very well be that. Could be the basics of oil and stuff, but they might have figured something out by then. I mean, if you can achieve cold fusion and the like and that kind of thing, I mean, you're spanning the stars, so there's probably a little more. But still, I don't know. It could have. It still has its byproducts you might want. I mean, how else are you going to make Vaseline? So anyway, it could be any number of those things that they're going to want. And they'll just come take it. Because their robots are going to be far more impressive and powerful than anything we got. And you're just going to have to eat it, Provided there's anything left and whatsoever is left of mankind to start over. Only to forget that this happened generations upon generations, millennia upon millennia later, and it's all lost to myth and stuff like that. And then we slowly rebuild everything, and the vegetation comes back and all that stuff. The planet pretty much regenerates itself, human society, and all the wars and stuff we go through, only for the aliens to come back again, kick our asses, and steal our shit. Yeah, it could be something like, it could be, oh crap. Maybe that's what happened. And now it will happen again. But then if that's the case, they already know where we are. And they say, yeah, we've been here before, stupid. You just don't remember because your stupid ancestors, only a lot of stupid people survived. And more of them than anybody who had the sense to maintain your knowledge and stuff so you didn't have to start from scratch. But, well, that's not how it turned out. And so here we are. We're going to take your stuff again. And you're like, oh, it's not right. Nothing you can do. Because you just won't remember. That's the problem. You just won't remember. At least you won't remember enough to believe it, It'll just, people told stories. They looked at the sky and saw stuff. That's all it is. And then, well, is it? Well, anyway, maybe that's the story. I don't know. But anyway, that's one of the things they disagree on. Aliens from outer space. But they're probably both really on board with a moon mission, though. I would think. So, I guess we'll see what happens provided this actually survives. Because again, like I said, George Bush set up a similar agenda and whatnot, and nothing came of it. So, first of all, we got to develop a spaceship that can get there, and we don't even have one of those yet. So, yeah, I think the goal is to have it done, or to have a mission before Trump leaves office. Jeez, that's really cutting it. Of course, like I said, he did start Space Force in his previous administration, so I don't know, maybe they're a little further along. Probably should have been paying attention to this. Damn it. Well, maybe we'll find out one day. That's usually how that goes. All right, there you go. That's about all I could do at this point. I've got stuff to do. I got to go get x-rays done and all that fun stuff. So, gee, I only did what? Well, I guess 1, 2, 3. All right, well, then, it's something. I don't know what I'll do with them afterwards, but we'll see. So, oh boy, that still leaves a lot more. Damn. Well, maybe next time. Probably won't get to it till after Hackamania, that's too bad. But I didn't think it would take that long. In the meantime, let's see here. I got to do this Lone Ranger picture with Anthony Cumia. Anthony. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. We'll get rid of this. And do that, this. I don't know. I just came across some Lone Ranger pictures and decided, okay, that's the theme. I thought about, it could be Lone Ranger one day and Zorro the next, and then, I think that's about it as far as, not exactly fantastical Western characters, but, kind of. Good Lord. Anthony's head's too big. I'm going to shrink that down. Doesn't really fit the pose either. But I'm going to make it fit, because that's what I do. So there we go. The Texas Ranger who was believed to have died But he must let them go on, believing he's dead until he can one day control the raging... Oh, wait, no, that's incredible. Oh, damn it, I did this wrong. All right, let me go ahead and change that. There we go. That ought to fix it. There, well, it'll do. Okay, so we take Anthony's head and put it like that. Right there. Okay. I don't know that that'll work. So I'll probably have to change the Lone Ranger somewhat. Yep. 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 Okay. Sometimes I think I've done this, but well, I did the last one, but it wasn't quite the same. So we'll stretch Anthony's head a bit so that his ear matches up, but the eye. I may have to do this the exact opposite there, and just take the mask. So, okay, that might work. It's going a little too far out, but whatever. All right, we'll copy and paste. So, there we go. And then down here, kind of. Not really enough. Oops, wrong one. Okay, we'll take that out. We don't need that. Okay. Oops. And we'll do it. Oops. Come on, damn it. I need it darker than that. Crap-a-roly. There, get rid of all that. I wonder if it... This is becoming a bit of a challenge. Yes. Whoops. Alright. Maybe stretch it a little bit more. Oh, I didn't even notice this. It's got this... It got part of the Ranger's eye, I guess. So take that out. Alright. So, now what to do? Well, oops. We'll smooth this over this way. Yeah. And then we'll get rid of all this. Okay. There we go. Shoot. Oops, damn it. I gotta have his ear there. Oh, for crying out loud. All right. Oh, dear Lord. Remember that? When poor Kelsey Grammer fell off the stage? He just took a wrong step, you know, and then as he was going, oh, dear Lord. I mean, what else are you supposed to say? Yeah? So we do it like this. And somebody there that kind of got closer somewhat to the, color and skin tone of the Lone Ranger. Alright, we did that. Now we'll go ahead, add some noise to the image to kind of fit somewhat with the rest of the image. There we go. It's got to be somewhat believable that he can actually see out of the mask. And, well, I'm going to say that that's sufficient. All right. And then a slight blurring of the face to match up with the rest. I think that'll work. All right, there we have it. And I'll stick that over the compound censored logo, and I think that'll work. Oh, crap. Did I cut into the belt? Damn, I did. Well, we'll fix that. Oh, yes. Oh, you thought you fooled old Mr. Nailsin, didn't you? Didn't you? Yes, you did. Well, oh, you're wrong. You see, I caught you. Yes, I did. Yeah. All right, good enough. There you go. Hey. Yay. Anthony's the Lone Ranger. Cool, huh? Anyway. Oh, wait. Who did the original art? See, here I am stealing this. Ward. So, it was Ward. Okay, well, there you go. All right. Everything's all cool and great. You know? Yeah, I would like to think so, but I could be completely wrong. So, thanks for watching and all that goody gumdrop stuff. I'll do it again, hopefully soon, maybe even tonight. And I don't know, we'll see. Oh, well, probably Nailsin News. I can get that done, I think. But anyway, hopefully that'll, occur.
That's the end. Beautiful friend.
Finish talking. In the meantime, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. All that goody gumdrop stuff. And I'll visit with you again, hopefully soon.
That's the end. Beautiful friend. This is the end, my friend. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me, because this is the end. This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the